Hi, my name is Jeff Hewitt, General Manager here at Brian Cullen Motors, and today we are looking at the 2026 Corvette Z51 3LT convertible. So if you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle, make sure you click the link in the top of the description to start a conversation. Okay, so this is the new 26. We have a bunch of updates we're going to do, a lot of changes in the car. Now, most of these changes come inside, but before we get in there, just so everybody understands what Corvette has to offer, especially at this level. So this is a 3LT convertible and really nicely equipped one. We've got Z51, magnetic ride. We have all the features that you really love to have in a jam-packed convertible. Of course, everything starts up the front here. We've got the typical C8 aggressive front end that we've all come to know and love. And you know, one of my favorite things as a Corvette owner myself is the frunk, where you can lift up the front here and you get some nice sealed storage inside. And this is sort of a place that you're going to go as a general rule on a fairly regular basis, because when you're not driving your Corvette, you should have it plugged into its integrated battery tender. So it actually plugs into a port right here. It looks a lot like an old cigarette lighter. We know we don't have those in cars anymore, but that's where it plugs in, and that keeps the battery nice and fresh, especially over winter storage. Don't forget to order ERI on your option codes. Get that battery tender installed in your car. But otherwise, we've got this great storage area. And what's nice about this is it is away from the engine compartment. It's nice and cool. It is all weather sealed. Great place, convenient, especially if you're backed into a parking spot. The nice soft pull down as well. When you're done with it, it gives you a little light flash to make sure you did it properly. Takes care of everything in the front. Also equipped though on this car, it does have the E60 front lift. Because we've got this nice low splitter height on the front of the car here, we don't want to wipe it out getting into your driveway or some of the steeper parking lots. You can actually program this front lift to automatically lift the car 2 inches in the front here. 2 inches doesn't sound like much, but when you're getting over some of those curbs, it's all you need just to protect this lower splitter. Let's come down the side and take a look at some of the things we've done. Now, you may have noticed that this is orange. Well, this is actually what they call Sebring orange. It's back again. We haven't seen this color in a little while. This is really actually one of my favorite oranges that General Motors produces. It's a really nice tri-coat finish. It's actually got some depth to it when you see the paint in person, look at it up close. And of course, if you're gonna do orange, you're gonna accent it with black. So that's why we've chosen these black split spoke wheels. And you'll notice that we even did the black calipers in behind it, just to sort of keep those tones correct. We've added the mirrors, they're black. Notice that we've taken the roof and the nacelles and painted them black, even the black rear spoiler. And we've taken care of the fine little details all the way through the car. That way, you know what, you're looking at one of these and it's built right, it matches, it's the way it should be. Let's take a look in the rear compartment. We got some more surprises there. So once again, the black and orange continues, the black spoiler, and we've even taken the time to take the black rear exhaust tips. And if you're ordering your car, that's NGA is the code you're looking for. Of course, being a Z51 car, this does have the dual mode performance exhaust. It gives you the little bit extra horsepower, and there's a couple more surprises. Before we get to those though, let's keep in mind, we do have a rear compartment here that is once again separated, insulated, water protected, more room here. Yes, you can get a set of golf clubs in here. That's important, right? You don't want them to have to ride shotgun in the front with you. So you can put your clubs in here. One little tip, if you're trying to put them in for the first time, you might want to pull the driver out of the bag and load it separately, because inside the bag, you can knock the head. So just put the bag in without the driver and then lay your driver on top. Of course, nice soft pull down. You don't have to slam anything, especially when you're on the outside of the car. Come around the side, and we're going to open up the top just a little bit to show you one other great feature. So most times when you're opening the top of the car, you're going to open it up. I like to do it when I'm actually walking to the car. I kind of like the show that it puts on, and by the time I get there, being just about 6 feet tall, to be perfectly honest, I don't have to worry about possibly banging my head on the roof when I get in. So you roll up to the car, the windows will be down, and the top's open. And how you do that is you just press unlock on the remote, and then you push and hold to open the roof. Now, I'm not gonna let it go all the way through the cycle because there's something I want you to see. I've hit unlock and pressing and holding the remote, and here it comes open. So the first thing to open is the rear deck lid. I'm gonna stop right here. If we look inside, this has the convertible engine appearance package. So we got a few things going on here. The typical cover that covers the engine also has a window. And I know it may sound kind of silly, but it's kind of nice to see it. It's one of the great attractions in a coupe, is that you actually get to see your motor. So every time you open the top here, you do get to see the engine, and they've also included the engine specification plaque. It tells you that it's a 6.2, making 495 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque, and it's got an 11.5 to 1 compression ratio. Nice little sticker right there to let you know what's going on back here. Just to continue, we'll open the top the rest of the way. And that lovely engine is now going to get covered by the roof. Close it down, gives the lights a flash, gives a little ding. Now we're open, and here now you can see what we're looking at on the interior. So this is the all-new interior for 2026. Yes, this is a special color combination. This is the habanero orange interior to go with the orange exterior. I'm not saying this is for everyone, but I gotta tell you, if you like orange, this is the car for you. Right down to the orange seat belts, right, the black and orange two-tone, so you can see the themes we've carried throughout the car all continue inside. The other big thing you're going to notice, being a 2026, we have made some updates to the interior, and the big long wall of switches is gone. Now there's some interesting pros and cons to this. Let's get inside and take a look. So here we are inside, and there's a few things you're going to notice right away. Of course, the switches are gone, and on this switch wall, what we had is basically most of the HVAC controls to control your heated and cooled seats, climate control, driver and passenger. This was all on the switch wall, and it was polarizing, let's be honest. Not everybody loved it. I can tell you as an owner though, that after a while, yes, you get used to it. And the interesting thing is that if you have a regular passenger riding shotgun, in my case, it's my lovely wife, right? She gets to control what she's doing here. And I'll freely admit, the first time in the car, she looked at, well, which one's for my seat? It wasn't ideal, okay? Not everybody loved it, but we get used to it. So now those switches have basically moved to a bunch of hard switches here underneath the radio screen. Really convenient for the driver, maybe not quite as convenient for the passenger. Other things that they've noticed they've changed, our dial is gone for your mode select. That's been turned into a toggle. The switches that used to house underneath the radio that controlled your front lift, your front camera, those have turned into these buttons here right beside the toggle for your drive modes. Your regular shifting has stayed the same. The other little interesting thing is that our covered cup holders have gone away. This has turned out to be some interesting comments from some of our customers. They actually prefer the old style that had the cover, so that had that nice clean look where you couldn't see the cover, the cup holders. They did put the Corvette flags inside the cup holders, right? Just to add that little finishing touch, but they no longer cover up like they used to. The other really great thing, and I gotta tell you, I really appreciate this, is that they've put a magnetic phone charging right here on the dash, and they've actually given us a little lid here. Now we get just to put the phone in there, and this cover actually stops the phone from flying all over the car, right? If you get into some more aggressive driving habits, okay? And so I kind of like the cover. I kind of like where the phone is, because to be perfectly honest, the previous charger, which is right here, your phone would slide and lock into place. It worked well, but you see how I had to contort, to get around to get that? And so if you're in the car and you're gonna get out, to be perfectly honest, I ended up getting out of the car and grabbing the phone from outside the car. It was easier than trying to do this and pull it out of here and then get out of the car. So I think this is a massive improvement over what we had in the previous gen. Call this Mark II. This is the update. So we've got this nice, cleaner looking interior without the switch wall. The switch wall's moved. Some people love it, some people don't. Exposed cup holders, but having this now for charging your phone is great. And hey, your passenger can use that one. I think those are great upgrades. Let's take a look at these screens. So aside from what's happened at the center console here, the other big change is what's happened up front here with the screens. And so we're just gonna power this up here. I'm not gonna turn the whole car on, but I'm gonna turn on the ignition so you can actually see how the screens come to life. So here they are powering up, and I'm just waiting for the last one to come here. There we go. So we're gonna, because this is a brand new vehicle, we haven't sold it, we're gonna keep this in demo mode, but we're gonna be able to get to see what it's all doing. One of the cool things that's happened is that they've actually changed the shape here of the main display. Not really sure what their intentions were, but it's really interesting how, me sitting here in my usual driving position, where I look through the steering wheel now and I can see the whole screen. They seem to have almost matched the screen shape to the opening of the steering wheel. Whereas in my car at home, which is a 2024, I find that the wheel actually cuts off some of the screen. So they've reshaped the main screen to match the wheel. So I'm not losing any of the information there. I found that in order to get the entire screen inside the wheel of my car, I had to have the wheel higher than I actually prefer to drive with it. So this was kind of an interesting change. The other interesting change is they've added a screen over here on driver's left. And so this does a few things. They've moved the heads-up display buttons. They've taken them out of there and they've actually added them into this screen. So all your programming and everything for your heads-up display is now done on this sort of side screen. So you can choose what you're accessing here. It can also give you engine data performance, oil pressure, engine temperature, things like that. But this is actually where you're going to make your HUD controls, because the other buttons that got moved were over here. We have the launch control buttons, the traction control buttons. They've all moved to the left of the steering column. So they've moved some things around. If you've never had a Corvette before, none of these changes matter. But if you're maybe moving from a 20, 21, 22, 23, and you're going to move up to something like this because, hey, you love habanero orange interior, right? If that's what you're all about, then these are some of the changes that you're going to see. Over here on the infotainment screen, things are pretty much the same. Not much has changed there, except some of the settings, once again, because this row of hard buttons have gone, some of the buttons have moved into the radio screen. Things like, for example, the heated seat control are now within the radio screen. And that was sort of one of the things that I was talking about, where it's not quite as convenient for your passenger to control their heated or cooled seats, because now they're in the screens. But otherwise, this is a stunning interior where, of course, you've got the little touches of orange on the steering center mark, right? The orange stitching throughout, really terrific interior. Basically everything else is a carryover, except obviously for this color is spectacular. So 2026 3LT convertible, habanero orange interior, orange outside with all the black accents. Make sure you like and subscribe and come down and see us here at 386 Ontario Street in St. Catharines. We'd love to show you around our Corvette Center, take a look at everything that we have to offer you. Hope to see you soon.